Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. This is a pre-recorded video. I'm currently on vacation, so the stats in this video will be taken from game 49 after the Seattle game. They're currently in a playoff spot, and hopefully things are continuing to roll in the right direction for the Utah Mammoth. Before the season started, I had my own very own special expectations for the team, so I want to take some time and see how if the team is meeting those expectations. If they are meeting these expectations, that would mean to me that they are in a playoff spot. Before the season, when I was writing down these expectations, as I was writing it, I'm like, damn, if they could get all these expectations right, this is a great recipe for a playoff team. And as I'm recording, they're first in the wild card position with 54 points. And like I said, hopefully they're still in that position. So let's go with expectation number one. I said they would be fourth in the Central Division. I got two markers here, red and green. Green obviously good, red obviously bad. And they are currently fourth in the Central Division. They are 4 points above fifth place Nashville and 8 points above sixth place St. Louis Blues. So great stuff by the Utah Mammoth. Obviously, before the season started, I had no idea how good the Avalanche and Minnesota would be. I knew the Stars would be in the mix in the top for the division, but I did not expect the meteoric pace for the Avalanche this season, and the Wild too. They surprised me. Obviously, I didn't know they would get Quinn Hughes in a trade. That would be a pipe dream. I did not expect Winnipeg to be so down in the basement either. I've been praying for their downfall for like 3 or 4 seasons now, and it's finally happened. And so the Utah Mammoth slotting in at number 4, and maybe they could battle for third place Minnesota, but I don't think so this season. Next, we'll go to win streaks. Last year with the Utah Hockey Club, win streaks were a problem for that team. They had three-game win streaks, and their highest win streak was 4, and they only did that once on a separate occasion. So they never got higher than winning 4 in a row. Now with the Mammoth, they've won 7 in a row from games 3 to 10, but from games 11 to 42, a 31-game stretch, they could not win more than 2 games in a row. And then finally, the past 7 games from 43 to 49, they had 2 separate 3-game winning streaks, and they're on a 7-game point streak as I'm recording this. So for win streaks, I'm not sure whether to give it red or green, but I think I'm leaning to green. There's about 23 games left, and they're currently on a 3-game win streak. Just one more 3-game win streak, and they eclipse last year's, which meets my expectation. So I will give that a green. If the Utah Mammoth from game 49 never win 3 games in a row for the rest of the season, that is bad, and they probably do not make the playoffs. So I'll give them a green check for that. My third expectation was they got to beat Winnipeg, Dallas, and the Avalanche. Obviously, preseason, like I already said, I thought the Winnipeg would be top 3 in the division. And this year, they're 2-0 against Winnipeg, which they should be because Winnipeg is playing poorly. They're down in the standings. Last year, they were 2-2 against Winnipeg. They got one more game left against Winnipeg, so they're undefeated against the Jets. Against Dallas, last year, they're a 1-2-1. This year, they're 1-1 with 2 games left of Dallas. And last year, they were a 1-2 against the Avalanche. This year, currently 1-2 with 1 game left against the Avalanche. But all 5 of those games, all 5 of the games this season, 2 against the Dallas Stars, 1-1, and 1-2 against the Avalanche. All 5 of those games were 1-goal games. Utah was right there hanging with them. Most recently, they beat Dallas on this 7-game homestand, and that was a statement win. They were the dominant team 5-on-5. It was perfect execution, and they showed up and played with urgency to beat one of the top 3 teams in the division. Even against the Avalanche, they're only losing by 1 goal. And it's the Avalanche who lost at the time of this video 3 or 4 games at home. They're on a ridiculous run, and every time Utah faces them, they put them to the test. They don't roll over. They stand up to that challenge. So for that, I will give them a green check mark as well. It's not so much being undefeated against these teams. It's about having a positive points percentage and just competing and being right there with them. Those 1-goal games against Dallas and the Avalanche is really remarkable and respectful for the Utah Mammoth. Next, we'll go to the stats expectations for expectation number 4. Andre Tourigny has never had a season where his goals for per game were over 3 goals per game, and his goals against per game were under 3 goals against per game. And finally, this season, their goals for per game is at 3.12, which is good for 15th in the league. So they're scoring just above 3 goals per game, and their goals against per game is 6th in the league at 2.76 goals against per game. So wonderful stuff by Andre Tourigny and the team. Obviously, it was for about 30 games, it was a bit of a seesaw, win-lose, win-lose. A lot of people were saying maybe we need a coaching change, but Tourigny and the team have gotten out of that rut, and they're finally having the stats to back it up. Last year, their goals for per game was 2.94, good for 19th, and their goals against per game were 3.06, good for 17th. So they've improved in both of those departments. And lastly, I wanted them to get average shooting percentage and average hits. I felt with the Utah Hockey Club, they had a really low shooting percentage. It was 10.3, good for 21st in the league. That needed to be much better. So I wanted them to get average. And then for hits per game, they were 28th in the league, near the bottom of the standings in hits per game with 18. And when Bill Armstrong was hired in Arizona, he wanted his team, he wanted to draft his team to be prickly, be a cactus-like team. And to be honest, I'm not really seeing that in Utah. He did draft big body guys, Daniel Boot, Simishev, Maverick Lamoureux, a bunch of other tall, big players, but they're kind of playing like gentle giants a little bit. There's no mean streak in Simishev yet. There's no mean streak in Daniel Boot just yet. They got to play a little bit meaner. For Lamoureux, he's always smiling, always positive. He needs to be a little bit more meaner, and he is fighting with the Tucson Roadrunners this season, so maybe he's going to bring some grit to the lineup there. I do love and prefer the team to play with possession, be more of a possession-based team, because when you're hitting a lot, that means you don't have the puck, but still, you need to be intimidating. You need to play with that physicality that Bill Armstrong wants. The hitting leaders on this team, McBain leads the team in like the stratosphere, because second place Lawson Krause is 40 hits behind Jack McBain. And then from Krause to Tanev in third place is another 30 hit gap. And then another 30 hit gap from Tanev at third to Carconi at 4. So we need at least a defenseman to be hitting a lot, to be in the top 5. And we need those gaps to be smaller. We need to play with some more physicality, intimidate the other team, not just with possession and dominant 5-on-5 play, but dominant in the physical department as well. So with all that rambling, they have an 11% shooting percentage, so it's up from 10.3 from last year, which is good for 17th in the league, which is pretty much average. League average would be 16th in the league. So I'll give them a green check mark, almost all green for shooting percentage, and their hits per game is at about 18.67, so it's up only 0.67 from last year. Last year there were 18 hits per game. This year 18.67 hits per game, which is good for 21st, so they're jumping from 28th to 21st, but still haven't met my expectations, but I'm not worried about that. I think with the emergence of Iginla, with Cole Baudouin, I saw them in the World Juniors. They're a bit more feisty, especially Cole Baudouin. Loves to play the body, loves to bring that physical game when he's on the ice, some sneaky offensive skill as well. And when they're not hitting, the Utah Mammoth are dominating 5-on-5, dominating the possession game almost every single game 5-on-5, which I do prefer, and that is better than being a mean team and that only wants to hit. So I think for long-term sustainable success, I'd rather have a great 5-on-5 possession than just being a meat-headed physical team. But I do know Bill Armstrong always preached to have an intimidating team on the ice, and a team that's hard to play against, and a team that plays with that intimidation factor. So thankfully, Utah Mammoth in the past 7 games in the 7-game point streak, they're managing to hit all these expectations. Hopefully it's not like the previous 7-game win streak earlier in the season where it goes away for 30 games. I do hope they continue this play. I do think they're playing more sustainable hockey in this 7-game point streak than they were in that 7-game win streak earlier in the season. I love how they're playing, and a lot of players have stepped up to help the Mammoth get over that hump, and it seems like they've unlocked that extra gear heading into the Olympic break. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.